The number of blue badge thefts in London has quadrupled in recent years, according to new figures from the Metropolitan Police. In the year to October, almost 5,400 cars that allow the permit holder, of course, to park in those allocated disabled bays were stolen. Campaigns are calling for local authorities to take urgent action. Liz Summers explains.
Joe, is it good? Christmas tree?
6-year-old Joe has autism, so getting out and about can be tough. His mum Roxanne was issued with a blue badge for parking, which she said really helped, but it was stolen from her car when it was parked on her drive.
He's got a lot of sensory issues. He can become very overwhelmed when we're out and about if it's somewhere busy. So when the badge was stolen, I kind of felt like it really set us back.
In the year up to October, almost 5,400 blue badges were reported stolen in London alone. That compares to around 3,500 in the same period just before the pandemic, and around 1,200 in 2015-16. So in less than a decade, numbers have more than quadrupled.
It's having a devastating impact on the lives of disabled people. It limits their independence. It's so important that local authorities start to enforce the blue badge scheme, to check badges, to issue fines and take perpetrators to court so we can clamp down on blue badge theft.
Roxanne now has a new blue badge, but says nobody's been caught for the theft of the original.
Somebody has exploited my son's disability. Somebody is using my son's blue badge just so they can get easy parking. And it's the badge has got his picture on it, so it's quite an unsettling thought to think somebody's out there using that when they shouldn't be.
A spokesperson for the Met Police told us all allegations are assessed to establish what evidence is available and appropriate investigations are carried out. Little consolation for Roxanne and Joe. Liz Summers, Good Morning Britain.
And we'll be speaking to MP Liam Conlon and disability campaigner Shani Danda shortly on the programme about that issue.
Blue badges are crucial for millions of disabled people across the country who rely on the essential parking privileges they provide. But every year, thousands are stolen by thieves, hoping to avoid parking charges and gain illegal access to the benefits they provide.
Well, data provided by the Metropolitan Police shows a huge increase in these thefts. Just in London, more than 5,000 blue badges were stolen between November last year to this October.
That's an increase of 54% compared to pre-pandemic levels.
And October last year saw the most blue badges stolen in 1 month in London, with 708 taken.
So we're joined now by the newly elected MP Liam Conlon, who has a blue badge because of mobility issues. He's also a parliamentary private secretary at the Department of Transport, so he knows what's going on. And by disability activist Shani Danda, who's had blue badges stolen from her car twice in 2017 and 2019, with thieves smashing the windows to take them, leaving her reluctant to go out. And it took months, didn't it, when you lost your blue badge to get it back?
Yeah, so the first time my badge was stolen, it took me 6 months to get a replacement just because there were delays with the council. And when I called, I was dismayed that they told me that they couldn't cancel the stolen blue badge. So I just thought, so it's just going to happen again and again and again and again.
So what you mean is they can't, once it's stolen, they can't cancel that particular badge. So a parking attendant who sees it in the thief's car doesn't know it's a stolen badge.
That's it,
That seems absolutely shocking.
Right?
Could you just show, for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, just show what the blue badge is and talk to us about how important it is. And also, just to point out, we have covered up the serial number, so this one can't be copied.
So it takes a lot of medical evidence to get a badge in the first place. Not only is it hard to get, it seems that it's really hard to keep. And when you want to park, you just display this with the time that you arrive, because in some places there are time limits and things. And it's got all my personal details on the back and a picture of me. So, you know, this isn't difficult for parking wardens to check if the person is in the vehicle or, you know, using the badge, because the badge is linked to the person, not the car.
Now, that's remarkable, isn't it? Because, of course, people park their cars and then leave them. So it's not easy for a parking attendant to know if the badge relates to you. Because if it's in a car and the person's gone to the shopping centre for a couple of hours, they're not going to be able to connect it. Do you think that's a change that should be made, that it should be associated with the car?
I think that could potentially limit people.
Right.
What I would love to see, though, is the introduction of a virtual option. I know that some councils have trialled it and it's really reduced theft by 65%.
So parking permits, for instance, for residents are very often now digital.
Charge. Yeah.
So, Liam, you are taking up this campaign, partly because you are a newly elected MP, you're in the Department of Transport being a parliamentary aide, but also because you had an accident as a child and you have your own blue badge as a result of those mobility issues, which I know were pretty tough for you when you were a teenager. I mean, what is the reason why we've seen such a dramatic rise in thefts in the last 5 and 10 years? It's quite shocking, but I was really racking my brains to think, why would you have had such a big rise?
I think people are taking them to avoid parking charges. So we know that people steal them from cars, and we've heard from Shani the devastating impact that has on individuals. People are selling them for £400, £500 a time, and avoiding parking charges then of up to £6,000 a year.
Right. Well, there's the answer then.
Yeah.
So if you are like commuting and you can use a blue badge, then maybe that kind of is a big saving.
It's a huge saving for people. So obviously then you're defrauding the taxpayer. So the thing I say to people about this is there are victims like Shani, there are victims like Roxanne, who you've heard from this morning as well. And then everyone's then a victim as well, because local authorities miss out on that revenue that could be used on public services, on roads as well. So
I wonder if you can both talk to us about the importance of the blue badge to you. Shani, how vital is having this parking exemption? What does it enable you to do?
It enables me to live independently and be in all the places that I need to be, whether it be attending hospital appointments, working, socialising, buying food, shopping. And I had a badge from a really young age because I was born with my health condition, so my parents had it on my behalf. And so when it got stolen, that was the first time I realised how much I'd relied on it.
Did it stop you going out?
Yeah, I had to change plans. I was like, oh, if I go there, I don't know where I would park now, because also I can't use public transport. A lot of tube stations, unfortunately, still aren't step-free. So then the other option is paying thousands in taxis. So for me, it was a really big shock. I had to change things, and it really made me feel disabled. Like, I feel like my health condition doesn't disable me. It's not having access that really disables me.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
What can you? I wonder. I don't want to sort of intrude, but can you explain to people who may not immediately understand your mobility issues?
Yeah, sure.
What they are and how they restrict you, and so therefore how important having your vehicle and access to parking is.
Absolutely. So I have a condition called brittle bone disease. As a result of that, I have a short stature, so I'm not able to walk long distances, carry things. It's, if I get knocked, let's say if I do use public transport, it's really dangerous. So having access to my own car, being able to get from A to B and do all the things that I need to do.
A crowded tube or train would be a nightmare.
Yeah, and once someone nearly knocked me and I nearly fell on the track, and I was like, I'm not doing this again.
Right.
And I couldn't even be angry at them because they just didn't see me.
No. Liam, Ed referred to an accident you had as a child. It's obviously had long-lasting impact on your mobility. Would you mind sharing?
Absolutely. So I had an accident at 13 when I was in year 8 at school, and after that I was unable to walk for 4 years. I went back a year at school, and in 6th form I became one of the youngest people in Britain to have a hip replacement. I've had it replaced twice. I've had irreversible damage to my spine, to my knee, to my hip. And one of the really important things for me with the blue badge is the space you have from an accessible bay. So if I park at a supermarket and a car parks very close to me, I'm unable to get into my car until that person returns and reverses. So, Shani and I have different reasons for needing that blue badge, but I think in common, and if you speak to disabled people, it is absolutely about independence. It's your ability to socialise, to get to work, and to live a normal life.
And I'm so confused about why you had this massive rise. Because, parking was expensive 10 years ago, and there was a shortage of parking spaces 10 years ago. Is it that something's happening with the cost of living crisis? Is there less enforcement of the rules around who can have a blue badge? Are there just loads more blue badges now, and therefore there's more thefts? I mean, there must be something explaining it.
I think the enforcement is a key issue. So we know that in some London boroughs, and that's the story today on those data, the number of thefts has more than quadrupled, and yet there are London boroughs that saw 0 prosecutions last year. And so the incentive for people to steal them and sell them on has increased. Oh. And that's why I'm saying today, you know, one of the things, local authorities have the power to enforce this, to check people's blue badges, and if someone's stolen it, to find the person who's stolen it and haul them in front of a court. You know, that's the way you're going to stifle demand. Exactly,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think also people that perhaps don't need a badge for access reasons just see it as a perk. They don't truly understand the detrimental impact it has on those who it's stolen from.
Well, you've done a brilliant job this morning explaining it is not a perk, it's a critical part of your life. It enables you to live the life the way you want to. Shani, thank you so much. Liam, thank you very much.
Good to see an MP using their platform to change things. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, good to see you both this morning. Thank you. Glenn says, I have a blue badge. I purchased an anti-theft device. Cost around £35. Very hard case with a glass cover, which secures your badge. Is that something that you have subsequently got hold of, Shani?
I haven't, and I refuse to buy one because I'm like, why should I?
That's so interesting. On principle, why should you spend money to stop a thief stealing from you?
Yeah.
All right, Shani, thank you very much indeed.
Let's take a look at the weather.